All right, everyone, it's 11. Let's go down 9. Okay, let's all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's go ahead and have roll call. So in attendance, we have Bob, Carol, Ed, myself, and I believe we have Doug online.
Yes.
All right, I need a motion.
I make a motion to the exceptional circumstances. that Mr. Banks gets to participate fully.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hey, Doug, can you hear
Thank
us?
you again. Yeah,
All right.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
I would like to move to add agenda item 11K as in height, which would be the methodology that we're discussing. It is not an agenda item on, and I thought it was supposed to be an agenda item every meeting until we actually adopted it, but it isn't. So I'd like to add that before we approve the final agenda.
Russ asked if we could, if you approve, if we could like move it up so he can, well, instead of having to give it last.
Well, that being said, I'd like to, the branding gentleman could not make it today, so if you want to put it for A, and I'd like to move A to the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine.
so is that your motion, Carol?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my motion.
So Kate
So-
just went to A.
And so that's going to be,
Got that, Georgia? All right, so we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. All right, we'll go ahead and go public comments. Anybody?
I have a stack.
Okay.
So just a reminder, the majority of these are actually non-agenda items. I did move the assessment methodology stuff in the thing since they are now part of the agenda. So I have 3 agenda and like 5 non-agenda, 6, something like that.
Okay.
First up is Tamara's on regarding item 11D, the lift station on Girl Scout. Reminder, 3 minutes. There's a little handy thing up here. It goes green, yellow. When it's red, you're done.
On the Girl Scout?
Yeah,
11D.
11D.
Okay. If you could please state your name for the record.
Sure, I'm Tamara Zahn. I live in Pinecrest. And just real short, I saw on the agenda for 11D, we had the lift station and the smells at Stony Brook. I just wanted to make a suggestion or request that we also include the one there at Girl Scout Lane, because it's awful. I know at several other meetings, we've had a few people comment on it just generally. And I thought since it was on there, we could, whatever we're looking at or assessing, if we could add that.
Are you talking about the one at the church?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
That is on our list. We're actually gonna put it in next year's budget. Because this was an out of budget.
Thank you.
Next.
All right, next is Tom Shaner regarding the assessment methodology.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Tom Shaner, and I am here today on behalf of the Pelican Preserve Community Association, as well as the Communities Residents Alliance regarding objections to the proposed O&M assessment methodology. While we had hoped to be able to discuss these concerns with representatives of this board prior to today's meeting, we were unfortunately not able to coordinate such a meeting until tomorrow. Perhaps we will be able then to lessen some of our concerns during that meeting. But based on findings of an independent assessment methodology consultant we have engaged, we will object to the adoption of the proposed methodology, as it is arbitrary in nature and not fairly and reasonably allocated. Specifically, we object to 1, the usage of the baseline methodology for the roadways and landscapes, 2, Pelican Preserve landowners receiving an assessment for parks and recreation, 3, capital outlays included in the administrative portion of the proposal, and 4, any reliance on the repeal of Rule 6 to justify the proposed changes. To be more specific in 2 of these areas, which will be better reviewed in our planned letter of objection, I refer first to Parks and Recreation assessment. We object to the methodology used to calculate the assessment. We find that the calculation used meets the standards of arbitrary and capricious and fails to meet the definition of a valid assessment requiring a fair and reasonable apportionment of properties being assessed. As has been previously determined, Pelican Preserve receives no benefit from such parks to which we have no access, direct access. Now, with the intent to reduce the Gateway residents' share, the district proposes to arbitrarily allocate benefits to Pelican Preserve without support. As to capital outlays, we object to the inclusion of such, in the administrative assessment budget. We find that it includes the allocation of capital outlay for the administrative building construction. This expense is not an administrative cost, but a capital expense and should not be included. As stated, we find the assessment allocation in the proposed methodology to be arbitrary in nature and not fairly and reasonably allocated. Nevertheless, we do not wish to pursue legal remedies, but rather to discuss alternatives based on prior findings, and further to consider the PPCA's perpetual ownership and operation of certain categories of improvement to avoid unnecessary and protracted legislation. Thank you.
Next is Ed Hedges, same topic.
Ed Hedges, 10532 Azura, and PAC Vice Chair. I've been trying to analyze the impact to the PPAC budget with the new assessment methodology. And some of my concerns are not so much with the methodology, but just which budget items go into which bucket. And in this last memo that Russ did, he provided more insight into what line items go into the landscaping and what goes into the waterways. And I've been able to match up the roadways prior, but there's about 10 or 11 line items in our non-labor line items in our PPAC budget, the O2 fund, that don't show up in any one of those buckets. So, where are they going? They total about $470,000. But we used 540 some thousand of our existing funds to offset some of the costs, keep things down. So it's just unclear how that was all accounted for with the new methodology. And I think the only way we're going to be able to know what the impact of the new methodology would be is when Russ gets his new spreadsheet done with all the new allocations, is actually plug in the 25 budget and everybody agree on which line items go into which buckets under which methodology. Then we could really see the true impact of the new methodology and what it would have, because it may not be apparent with looking at it piece by piece like we are. Some things may have fallen between the cracks a little bit. In the new methodology, there's also a separate Pelican admin bucket, which is where I guess some of those items are missing from, but there's not a separate gateway admin bucket separately. And it seems like some of the items that are in that bucket or in the admin should go into a separate gateway admin bucket. Some of that I think is just to maybe be able to better account for the differences in structures. In Pelican, the O2 fund, we have our own reserves. We fund our own capital projects through our O2 annual budget. Whereas on the gateway, I understand they have that separate capital fund that's funded by bond issues and reserves. Some of the funding in this admin goes into that capital bucket. So are the Pelican residents being kind of double dip, paying for our own through our own O2 fund and annual budget, and through the allocation of some of those capital things. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, the property from on tree line, from the
The wall.
sidewalk
The
to
wall.
the golf cart on the inside of the fence is all community association property owned by the community, and the wall sits on community association property. That you guys had that question in your workshop.
But on the outside towards the street,
The sidewalk,
fence outside.
the sidewalk to the wall is community association property.
Thank you. Right, the rest of these items are not agenda items, or if they are agenda, I couldn't line them up with anything, so my apologies ahead of time. Kurt Shaw regarding pond work.
Is number 11J.
That was, I didn't know if I was on this week.
One.
Okay, I'm Kurt Shaw and Hidden Lakes Drive. Yeah, and I was on the agenda last time and you didn't get to it. And so then the next day they started construction and it was concerning saving trees in the backyard. They were able to do the construction without taking any trees out. I don't know if that was your decision. I don't know who made that decision. I just came to say I appreciate the trees being there and I'm glad it worked out. I mean, that's basically it. So I didn't know if I needed to come back because I was still on the agenda. So, but thank you, if whosever decision that was.
Next is Tom Murphy regarding streetlights.
Okay, so there's no consideration for agenda item J then?
We'll still do it when we get there.
Oh,
This is just public comment.
Hi, my name is Tom Murphy. I'm a resident of Stony Brook. Outside of our community, there are 6 streetlights, which it's my understanding that our community is paying for. Now, I know that when the lights or the Gateway Boulevard was turned over to the county, the CDD maintained control of the streets lights and they're going to pay for them. And so my question is, as a resident, it's my understanding that we continue to pay for those streetlights and we don't want to pay for them, basically. So how can we get those streetlights off our bill, because it's being charged to the lights that we have in our community as well. So we have 147, I believe, and there's 6 outside, and we're being billed for 153. And there's no other community within the Gateway community who are paying for streetlights, and it's really not fair that our community should pay for them either. So we'd like them taken off our bill. I don't have a bill. This is something you guys pay for. It's all in your hands. I don't have anything to physically say, here, this is what's happening, but I'm being told that that's what's happening.
This is the easy one we already went over. You have that ability and there's a cost under the current contract that you have. If my recollection does not fail, it was around $5,000. And then your HOA decided to not want to pay for it. And then a conversation came about that there was a different contract, and I believe Joe McCullough was to provide that. And then he wasn't able to find, because there is only one contract. There's 2 amendments to it. But yes, that can be done. But per the contract that was signed by you guys, there's a cost to remove that. And the cost is something that you guys were not willing to pay. Now, if you guys want to reconsider and look at your contract and see if you would consider to pay that cost, then.
So we don't have a contract. How do I get that contract?
I mean, I have it on my email. You have it, right, Chelsea? We can just forward it to you, the records request to Laura.
Tom, I even received a quote from FPL, and you may want to re-engage with FPL, considering they're mobilized and maybe there's some cost savings.
Okay, good question here. Is this the deal that Warren and I went around and
Yes.
around? Okay. God, it's a bad memory. I thought the number was 10, but I would give in to, I'll take 6. It sounds better. But the issue is, those are the lights that are out on the boulevard, correct?
Yeah.
The new lights going in will lead for those lights to be gone.
No,
They're like a
traditional carriage lights that are out there.
Oh, these are not the
That's
40
right.
footers,
No.
they're the carriage lights. Okay.
I could be mistaken. I don't want to put words.
They are.
They are.
They're on 24/7. I also know that.
Yeah. So I will have to make a records request to get a copy of the contract.
Yeah, send us an email, we'll get it to you, and then I can
And-
even pull the.
Public records at gatewaydistrict.org.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And what would the process be? So if
It's
we,
very easy. It's actually outlined in the contract. If it's such one,
okay,
we FPL gonna come up with the cost. We'll send you the bill.
Okay.
You wanted it, sign on it, we'll do it. It's very easy.
okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right. Right, next is Vince LaFredo regarding irrigation leaks and Stony Brook gate access.
Good afternoon, Gateway. We had a.
Please state your name for the
Oh,
record.
Vince Lafredo, I'm sorry. Okay, from Stony Brook. Several years ago in September, when I became treasurer of the community, and again, I'm speaking as a resident, not as treasurer of our community. We had an incident with one of our accounts with irrigation along 82 burn. And apparently it was being read through, it was underestimated per year. So when I inherited this, the bills that kept coming every 2 months were not showing, they were showing either a baseline payment or no payment. There's a lot of story behind it. Bottom line is, problem went away when we shut it off. Okay, we didn't shut the meter off, we shut the water off. So for literally since October of 23 through 2 weeks ago, everything was blowing smooth because the water wasn't running. And I think everybody in this room agrees, we got to be concerned about water. Well, a leak happened after two things happened. Number one, the meters were shut off and then they were turned back on by our request because we were watering the inside where we planted plants along a burn. Well, guess what happened? We got a leak. And in the meantime, we get the warning notice from utilities of excess usage. Of course, we moved on it, we received last week. In the meantime, we're talking about 699,400 gallons down the drain. So our landscape crew fixed the piping. And the two things involved here. Number one, communication. We think as a community, we should be advised if meters going to be turned off. And secondly, what they're turned back on, we need to know that. We could have reacted a lot quicker. And I think something failed here. And right now, I'm compiling evidence for our community because I think that the charges are going to be excessive, being over $20,000. I don't believe we should pay this. However, looking at the daily report, you can see for the last 2 years what our usage was. So in essence, I'm just bringing this up now because with the water being restricted at this point, we better start looking at things like this and reacting quicker as opposed to letting it running over a period of days and again a warning. Okay, that's a lot of water down the drain. And secondly, I'd like to probably set up a meeting with our group and just to talk to you about this so we right now got a problem with our meters. We're trying to find out where they are. We got 14 of them in the community. We got one that's zeroed out, trying to find out what usage that's for. And it's just sitting. Second point, make it quick because I'm moving my time here. Gate access, an incident happened again today with access. A person came, said they weren't going to show their license. And since we're still trying to figure out this road issue, they demanded access. Wouldn't show their license. Our guard was fairly new and in essence had to let them through, but warned the supervisor. I got warned of it. This comes on the heels of 2 months ago, 2 doors down from me, we had a resident who, and this was at night, her ex-boyfriend was on her lanai when she came home and she has since moved. I think this is something we probably should talk about as we keep this thing going with open access.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vince would be happy to meet with you anytime.
We will do that. Thanks, Jess.
The final comment is from Margaret Feinberg regarding lake maintenance.
Hello. Hello.
Margaret Feinberg for the record, Stony Brook, and I'm here for myself. And my understanding is the stone has been delivered for the repairs of the lake banks. And I just want to keep reminding you that rainy season is right around the corner. And last year we ran out of time and the lake levels came up and the repairs weren't done. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen again this year. So do we have any idea when they're actually going to get out there and lay stone?
I think Daniel mentioned that at the last meeting.
Yeah, next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hope my pond's next.
Mine's
I've
first.
been waiting longer.
Mine's first.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Thank you. Rocks.
Funny.
Anybody else?
No, that's the last one.
I thank you. Local achievements and recognition, do we have anything?
I do.
Advisory committees and items to report, so Pelican Preserve.
I'll move to approve 7A, which is the reappointment of Marty Manderfeld. He's in fact sitting in the first row here. Marty, how do you pronounce your last name?
Mankenfeld.
Mankenfeld.
Correct.
Okay.
Just the way it's spelled.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. We'll come back,
Thank you.
never last.
Move to
One second, Doug Banks, he did text me that he had to step out at 3:30, so his vote is not recorded on that previous side.
Okay, I did it for oral, perfect, all right.
move to approve the minutes, So 8A and B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda items. Any
Moved on consent agenda items A, B, and C. I had no questions.
Second.
I have a motion for approval of consent agenda items A, B, and C, and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. District engineer.
Stephen Gaffey is online for the task authorization update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Stephen Agapi, Tetra Tech District Engineer. All right, first up, we have the irrigation pump station generator. We are right now waiting for the contractor to receive their building permit. The generator is scheduled for a mid-March delivery. We will hopefully have the permit in hand around that time and begin construction. The irrigation and enforcement improvement project. Right now, we're kind of on hold on the actual project itself. We're just waiting for a funding source to be identified. So we're working with staff on an HMGP application and pursuing other options. The Lower Hawthorne well, construction's been on hold right now for a little bit of time. We've kind of got held up during the rainy season, and now that it's dried up, some of the contractors have gotten busy again, so we plan to resume work in March. The Gateway Utility Storage Building, I got good news earlier this week that the contractor passed their first inspection with the building department. They passed their foundation inspection. So that project is moving along.
You see concrete trucks going by this meeting. That's what they're doing.
Phase 2, Year 2 lake bank restoration, that is the remaining lakes for Met Tower, lakes 127 and 130. They are rocking and rolling. They're getting pretty close to wrapping up 127. I believe sod was going down this week. And 130, they were taking densities today, so they'll begin covering the restoration with fabric and then stone after next week. FY24 lakes, MRI has 4 lakes that are left on this project. They're almost done with Lake 105, and we had our pre-construction meeting today for Lake 128. So they're moving along pretty good. They're doing their best to stick to schedule. Hopefully we'll get all of them knocked out before the end of the dry season. FY25 lake bank construction, C&B has Lake 98 and 99. They are working on 98 actively right now, and they're kind of in the early phases of that project, but they're moving along. Public Works Storage Building, we were preparing a new TA for the relocation of that. I just spoke to Danny, and he is just waiting on some information. I think staff is trying to hunt down for I think the boundary survey requirements, since we're going to be on the county property, and some landscaping questions that we still had. So we're working on a TA with staff. Gateway Commons Park and Admin Building, we have our groundbreaking event next week. So something to look forward to.
Do we have the building permit?
We'll talk about that. No, but we have a meeting. It's only one reviewer, and we have a meeting scheduled with him tomorrow with expected resubmittal next week.
I thought that deal was the 25th.
Another resubmittal?
It is.
I had 27.
I heard 25th.
It's I think the 25th, Doug couldn't do it, so we had it to the 27th.
Yeah, it's a week from today.
At
So it's not
4
Tuesday
p.m., I
next,
believe.
it's Thursday next.
Correct.
It's at 4 o'clock, right, Chelsea?
Yes.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
The FGUA project, this is the interconnect. That project is approaching substantial completion. They need to make some adjustments to one valve and do some restoration work, and then we'll start with our walkthroughs for punch list items. CCTV sewer, there is an update on the administrative agenda items later in this meeting. I think we're getting pretty close to letting that for bid. Maybe not.
It's needs their final approval today, and then we're ready to let it next week.
Perfect. CCTV storm, we're working on the bid docs on this one. I believe what we are doing right now is trying to finalize the maps. We're working with staff to just make sure that we have all of the known stormwater mapped out. Engineers report for assessment methodology, no new updates on this one, just waiting for the final hearing and if there are any comments that we need to address in between now and then. Pelican Lakes 47 and 48, we're waiting for construction. Development updates, Arborwood Phase 3. We've been getting on Lennar trying to get that one closed out. There's a bunch of stormwater items that are still outstanding. Daniels Parkway Apartments, we have a new submittal that's in review that will get finished by the end of this month. Santa Luz, I don't know how to address that one, Chelsea. We were making headway with them, but they kind of pushed back on us. So we're still working with the developer to get that finished.
I'd like to talk, I'll talk to Tony about that prior to, but ultimately Lennar is claiming that the downspouts are not their responsibility, that they're the responsibility of the HOA. So I've got to talk to Tony about that and how we want to resolve that before they move forward with their restoration efforts.
Garrett FM, the Alta rezone, I'm sure you all have seen, they're making pretty good progress, demolishing the existing buildings. We've been on site a couple times just to make sure that the existing sanitary sewer system is protected. And we're just going to kind of keep tabs on them until they start new construction.
They've been very good to work with so far. Anything else for Stephen on his task authorization update? I know he's got a couple other items with him coming up.
I don't have anything. No. Thank you, Stephen.
Welcome.
Ready for the next one, Paul?
Yes.
So we were notified of $1 million grant that we were awarded for design of pond bank. As part of that HMGP $1 million grant, we're required to do a local match of 25%. If you recall, the county received over $1 billion in community development block grant, CDBG monies. The county has chosen to set aside a portion of that CDBG money for local municipalities to use and apply towards to use as a 25%.
Match?
Yes.
To match a grant.
Yes. So what I'm looking for direction from you all is we have multiple options for our local match. Number one being apply to the county for the CDBG funds. I will caveat that. If we chose to do that, there are federal regulations in which we have to follow. So we would have to rebid our engineering and just incorporate those federal rules that are part of the federal regulations that they require for the CDBG. Not a big deal. We could do it. We've already put in our application for the CDBG in the event that you wanted us to pursue that. That's option one. So ultimately we could get 100% other than our engineering and staff time cost, 100% grant. Yeah, the second option is Stephen Bloom confirmed that we do have some money in the Lake Bank fund for reserves. Again, this is just for the design of the remaining 15 ponds in Gateway.
So that could be used as match.
Yes. The third option is to incorporate our 25%, whatever that number is, into next fiscal year's budget. And then the fourth option would be to apply for SRF funding. So I'm looking for your direction on how you'd like to proceed with our 25% local match.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
One question, split between Pelican and Gateway,
Split what?
going to the grant.
It's
Is it for construction?
It's only for the ponds that we identified as part of, it goes back a long ways, but as part of the ponds on that priority list, it does not include any Pelican ponds. That doesn't mean that we can't apply and put Pelican ponds on the local mitigation strategy list and go through the process for anything.
I'd like to suggest we do that because Pelican just chose to fix their ponds on operating ponds rather than alone. But we're still spending money.
For that amount of money, $251,000, and associated a lot of admin costs on it, it's a joke. Just use the SRF excess money. Be done.
It's not, well, it's not SRS excess money. It would be,
It was budgeted for.
it would either be reserves,
Okay.
reserves.
The admin costs are gonna get out of hand, and I'm chasing $251,000. Ridiculous.
I would strongly recommend when we get to construction that we put in the CDBG, if that's the case. But that would help expedite if we chose to self-fund our 25% match.
What's the timing?
3 years from notice of agreement, which we don't, or this executed agreement, which we don't have yet from them, but we do have the notice of award.
What's the timing that we have to produce the 251? 3 years?
Whenever.
No, whatever we sign agreement.
When we, yeah, sign the agreement, start the project. Which if Tetra Tech's number comes back for the design for 1,500, 600,000, we're only doing 25% of that number, whatever that number may be.
But I just want
In my-
to remind you, that it's more than just Gateway. We have a Gateway loan. Pelican has a list of funds, of bonds they're doing also. So they'll certainly pay their,
But they're not co-mingled.
But they're not coming up for this particular.
Not for
this.
But I think I would strongly suggest that we don't even wait, that we start working now when.
Yeah.
Going out for the same grant, similar to.
I
you
can work
guys.
with Doug and we
Okay.
can get together your Pelican priority list.
they've got
In the
a,
meantime, we gotta come up with
Because then we get a full
$251,000.
Up to 200, worst case scenario, up to 251,000.
Yeah, okay, so you want direction from the board?
Yes,
I would just like to warn you that I've had some experience with CDBG funds, and the feds are notorious about putting a lot of strings, a lot of hoops, a lot of strings on everything. And oftentimes we found that at the end of the process, we were just shaking our heads and saying, was it really worth doing all this
more trouble
for that? And, so it's just a warning.
I can. So staff recommendation, if you're willing to use the reserves, I think it would be great because then we can expedite and get the ball rolling, get Tetra Tech under design and then hopefully rush that. And then this time next year, start construction, but we have to go back to HMGP once design is complete and get the approval for the 9 million for the construction. Sooner we can get there, the better. And at that point, I would strongly recommend we apply for the CDBG.
You want a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Is anybody gonna make a motion?
I make the motion, what you just recommended.
Okay, yeah.
Can you say that again?
Use reserves for the local match for design
Okay, up to 240.
to
251, 750.
So these would be reserves that were in
the lake
the bond fund,
the
No,
lake
the lake-
fund.
the lake bank fund, which is
Collective.
an 001 fund.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
So
That's my motion.
Pelican would be paying part of your ponds.
No, totally, no.
You're not in there.
Okay.
Oh, one.
I just have the concern that Carol said it's more trouble. I don't have any experience on that one.
Okay, so we have a motion. I'll second your motion. Let's call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is Doug still not?
He's not back yet. I asked him to.
And I'll say no, because I don't know.
I agree with what Carol said. However, this kind of a project, I don't think the CDBG requirements are gonna be that anal to deal with, that they can be a
Onerous?
You,
lot of red tape.
Tony's gonna bring it back, but you all approved some of the policies that are required earlier. So that was the biggest hurdle, truth be told. But when it comes time for the construction and it's millions of dollars for our match, I would pursue the CDBG.
A lot of the things that CDBG requires, because I've used CDBG on match on SRF projects up north, and they mesh pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal.
You for that direction. The next item, Russ, is Russ, back to Russ.
I didn't.
He's still here.
Okay.
I'm just here to answer questions, I guess.
Yeah, I talked with Russ earlier, and one of the things that I would like to see in the narrative when it comes to the ponds and the waterways area, Because basically in my reading of what 2020 was and what is being proposed in 25, pretty much the same. Pelican's paying for Pelican and Gateway is paying for Gateway as far as ponds go and waterways go. And I was wondering if there would be some way to state that. I don't know the exact words and I would let you design those words, but basically saying that it is the direction of the board that we continue the practice of Pelican paying for its ponds, Gateway paying for its ponds.
I agree with one addition, and that is that the flowway is prorated, in the two communities equally, 001 and 002, not 006, 7, 8, 9, not Basin 6. Basin 6 is exempt. So in other words, and the administrative and maintenance cost of the flowway is broken out, what probably is gonna come out basically about a 1/3, 2/3.
So basically what you're asking me to say, they do their own, Gateway does their own, and it won't matter.
Air maintenance of the common flow.
Except that, Ed, you got 108 ponds. And we have a total of 58, of which probably 14 are in 6.
Well, see, I'm not counting, I'm just, well, I see what you're saying, the Basin 6.
Yeah, we're not one.
I would be, I'd be willing to take that Basin 6 component out of the 1/3.
And then
I agree to that.
compute whatever the contributing ponds are, the flowway, and however it shakes out.
Yeah, well, the easiest way to do it, Bob, is just say, Russ, just do it straight acreage. Just do the acreage, that's the runoff from 001, the runoff from 002 less Basin 6. Take those, whatever that percentage is, I'd go, be done with it.
I can craft that.
I would just like it stated in there that that was our intent. And kind of wrap up the ponds area and put it to rest.
Anything else for Russ? No? You good?
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Thanks for staying.
Thank you. Guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Should we miss?
Yes.
Fault or something like that.
Right,
Yeah, and you got.
next order of business, we have Pedro Hernandez on as bond counsel, to give you just a brief overview of this item, and then the next item, for the supplemental trust indentures regarding the utility fund.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I would like to move that we take agenda item 11A, community branding survey results, style guide adoption, and table that to the next meeting. We want that as an agenda item.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, he's not here today. Oh,
Right. He's not here, but let's make it official that
Okay.
we'll have that the next meeting.
So a motion, I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Pedro, now we're ready.
We can't see you, Pedro, so if you don't want to use your camera, you don't have to. Only I can see you.
You're muted.
And you're muted.
I can't see you.
Good,
Here you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I can happy to take my video off, if you'd like, but, so good afternoon, board members. My name is again, Pedro Hernandez with Squire Patton Boggs. We're bond counsel, to the district. Before you are going to be two items, both of which relate to borrowings by the utility system to fund two different projects. The first item is the issuance of a water and sewer utility bond in the amount not to exceed $1.8 million to fund the utility system's kind of proportionate share of the cost of the new administrative building. This is going to be funded with a loan from First Horizon. Term sheet has been presented, and the loan will be evidenced by a 7th supplemental trust indenture that will be issued under the district's existing master trust indenture. That 7th supplemental indenture, the form of that agreement of that indenture is also an exhibit to this resolution. It's essentially the primary security document for the bonds. It sets forth the terms, and the interest rates, the repayment terms, et cetera. So that's what this resolution item is for. It's for a borrowing of not to exceed $1.8 million. My understanding, the intent is for it to mature in less than 5 years. It will be repaid. So that's really it. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any questions on this item, which I'm happy to answer.
If you recall, the enterprise fund pays 59% of the admin building. And so we had our pricing, we all discussed this. We said we had a shortfall from the enterprise fund because they have to pay their proportionate share. So this will bridge that shortfall. It is a drawdown loan, so we will only be drawing what we need with a maturity of 5 years, like Pedro said.
It doesn't increase the total cost of the admin building in any way, shape, or form.
Just for the enterprise fund, they're paying 59% of the total cost. So this
What is that current total cost?
I don't have it.
What the current number was?
Yeah, for just the building.
Was 7.9 million, something?
Yeah.
Almost 8 million.
Almost 8 million. Question from Tony. I don't think this impacts Pedro, but Tony, I wasn't here. On this resolution, whereas number 4, whereas the board back in 86, I just don't remember any document said that $99.7 million figure.
There
I
was
don't ever
a,
remember seeing that number.
that was a bond validation way at the beginning of the district.
So it is real.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I just hadn't seen that.
it's still, it's still a viable, it was a validation way back when at the beginning for water and sewer.
That's the only question I had. Otherwise, I'm ready to.
That's the way back machine had, yes.
What is the motion to,
It exists.
Yeah.
Go back to the motion.
motion to approve resolution 2025-8?
Okay, so this loan is going to be paid by the people that use the water and sewer.
Yes, ma'am.
That's correct.
Okay,
I'll make the motion that we approve and adopt resolution 2025-08.
second.
We have a motion and a second on Thursday. Aye.
Okay.
Great.
And
So the
did we include that in our pricing? When we set the
rates.
figures for last year?
Yes, ma'am.
All the bond costs are.
Yes,
No, this loan.
Yes.
So
yes.
we did.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
anticipated a higher cost coming in, and we incorporated that as part of the rates, charges, and fees for the enterprise fund. All right. Next item, go ahead, Pedro.
Sure. So the next item is the second borrowing for the utility system. So similar to the one that was just approved. This is also a borrowing by the utility system and will be repaid from revenues of the utility or users of the system. This one is in the amount of not to exceed $13,924,800. Again, a drawdown basis. This will be funded by a loan from the state revolving fund. So this is a loan from the state. It's a subordinate indebtedness, so they are able, under the utility system, under its security documents, are able to issue senior indebtedness, which the prior one was approved is senior, and the SRF or other forms of subordinate indebtedness. And this SRF loan is subordinate but payable from the same source of revenues. This will also this resolution approves the 8th supplemental trust indenture, which is the next in line after the 7th that was just approved, and this will set forth the terms of the SRF loan, and that which will be evidenced by the 2025 taxable bond. Also included is the form of loan agreement, substantially final form of the loan agreement from the SRF, and the project that's being funded with this loan is the water metering project. That's what's intended to be funded with the proceeds of this borrowing.
All right. So as you recall, you gave direction for us to proceed with the SRF loan application. We've done that. We've received the agreement. Because it is a 20-year term, we have to do this process under this master trust indenture and issue the supplemental And so ultimately, this will be the meter box replacement and the AMI metering infrastructure, those two components of that project.
The project.
Advanced metering infrastructure,
It's the one that sends the signal.
smart signal.
Smart.
Telecommunicates.
So is this like the total cost of the meter replacement?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd make the motion that we adopt resolution 2025-09.
Oh, okay. And then who pays?
Everybody else utility.
Utility.
Rate fee in charge of the refill.
This is the utility
So
bill
it's
only.
just the utility of
Yes,
current
ma'am.
people.
Yeah.
And what's the impact? Do you have any idea what this is gonna be for average household?
This has already been added into the rate derivation cost. of
Yeah,
our last rating.
Because of how the rate consultant adds it in, and it's irrigation and potable. That's how we broke out the total cost of this project. It varies on per household because of usage and structures and,
Are they already paying?
Yeah.
Started last
yeah,
year.
we started last year anticipating this project.
I would know guarded areas at the gate.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I thought you did that earlier discussion.
No, we didn't have a second, did we? No.
Oh.
Okay, so Carol made a motion and I'll go ahead and second the motion.
No, and I made a
Oh, I just made a motion, sorry. And I'll go ahead and second the motion. I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Right. So this next item is, we had hired a consultant at the recommendation of Tetra Tech who specializes in lift stations and odor control units. And so he is on the call. His name is Jim Ross, and I will turn it over to him to give you his findings. Jim?
Hello, everybody. Can I share my screen? Is that an option for me to be able to do?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll drag him over here.
While he's doing that, can I ask one last question? Who did we get to do the design that ended up with the system that we got to begin with?
Couldn't tell you. I know that there was a report done back in the day with Tetra Tech, and
It
Tetra
was
Tech.
Doug. Do we know who it was?
I have to go back and poll and ask them and maybe find out
He
from Danny.
points out some things that should have never happened.
I don't disagree. But we're here to correct it now. All right, go ahead, Jim.
Okay. So we came to the site to lift station 11 on December 30th and evaluated the odor control system that is there. So this is just the executive summary from the report. I'm thinking you don't want me to do a page turn through the report, so I'm just gonna.
Make it bigger, Laura.
I can't, that's his screen. I don't have control over it.
Can you make, awesome.
Can you make it bigger, please?
Thank you.
Otherwise, I can pull the same report up on my screen if you'd like.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thanks.
There you go. We're old people.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. By the way, I'm Jim Ross with Webster Environmental Associates, and like was said, all we do is odor control engineering. We've been around since 81, so we've been doing it for over 40 years and done a lot of work in Florida and all around the country, but we're based in Louisville, Kentucky. So a little background on us. So we, that's Webster Environmental Associates, that's us. We conducted a site visit to lift station 11 on the 30th of December, and we collected data so that we could evaluate the performance of the existing odor control system, and then also to be able to take that data if needed and to use that for an evaluation of potential new odor control alternatives if the existing was found to not be performing as it's needed. So in the summary of our findings, basically we put a pressure monitor. There's a couple things that we did. One thing we did is we put a pressure monitor inside the wet well where it's pulling, the odor control system is pulling air from, and we left it in there for a week to measure the pressure inside of there. And ideally what you would want to see is that pressure to remain negative which would indicate that the that odor control system is pulling enough air to keep the foul air from escaping untreated. But that was not the case. There was periods of time each day where it went positive, which means that it's being pressurized. It's not pulling enough air. So air is coming out untreated out of the wet well. So that's part of the problem. Now, the original design for this, the airflow being pulled at this point is not as high as the original design criteria was. So we don't know why that is, but it's not pulling as much as even it was originally designed to do. So that was found as well. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that my second bullet point here, that the vessels are leaking foul air at multiple locations. So this odor control system has two vessels. The foul air goes through the first vessel, which is a biological stage that in theory, in design practice, it would be, taking care of 90% or greater of your problems, and then the air would then pass through a carbon stage, which would then polish the remaining. So that's the theory. That's the design parameters that we would normally want to see. But the vessels for both of these stages are leaking. There is access ports on the top of the first vessel. Those ports are leaking a lot of air, and so that air is only treated from the first stage at that point, so it hasn't received the polishing treatment. And because that first stage is really not, it's not performing well to begin with, the air coming out of there is really odorous, and that's causing problems. In the second vessel, so once the air goes from the biological stage, it goes to a carbon vessel. In the bottom of that vessel, there are ports at the bottom where there should be drain lines connected that would then go to, some kind of back to the sewer, or, a P-trap that would keep air from blowing out of it. But those are not, there's not drain lines connected. I don't know if there were in the beginning and just not anymore, but they're not connected there today. And so the foul air is pushing out the bottom of that vessel, also untreated. And then the other thing too is the system is just not performing like it should. It's I believe 10 years old, so that's nearing the useful life of a system of this size. I do think it's a little bit undersized for that location based on the data. So that's what we found. Our short-term recommendations, excuse me, is obviously seal the odor control vessel leaks. And so I think that can be done. The ports on the first vessel could be sealed up either by you guys, or to have Xylem come out and take care of it, because it is a leased system. So I would think they would maintain responsibility for that. They also need to, or someone needs to install drain lines to the bottom of the second vessel so that air is not just blowing out untreated. And the other short-term recommendation would be to schedule Xylem, which is the vendor, to come out and make adjustments to the system, find out why is it not running as per the original design criteria. So that's short term. I think that could make a difference, just because those leaking areas are significant. Long term, we recommend that this system be replaced. And the type of system that's there is good. The technology is a good system, but we just believe it's a little undersized for the data that we saw, and we would recommend a larger system to be installed there. And that's the long-term recommendation. So we put a just budget level cost estimate together for that. Two options. One would be own the equipment, and that capital cost is estimated at $385,000 for the construction and engineering of that. The other option would be that you lease the equipment, which is kind of what you're doing now. In that case, this estimate assumes you'd still have a contractor that would come and still, do the site work and everything that needs to be done for the new system, because it won't just be plug and play. There'll need to be some changes made. So there's still a capital cost associated with that, but a lot less, $185,000. But the lease cost is about $3,700 a month for Xylem to lease that. So if you were looking at a 10-year cost, that's, $450,000 of cost, but that's over 10 years. Obviously, the pros of the lease, even though it costs more, is that someone else is maintaining responsibility for that, and you can just make a phone call if there's a problem and have them be responsible for it. But that's obviously a decision that you guys would want to make of which avenue you'd want to pursue as far as the long-term options. So that's very high level, and that's really that's it. And I have time for questions or discussion if you'd like.
So we can kind of say a couple things before. So, and Bill, I don't know if you want to stand up and give a couple comments, but as soon as we received this report and reviewed it ourselves, we passed this report along to immediately the vendor with the existing equipment out there. I believe staff met with them, is that correct?
Yes, Bill Shaw, Utilities Manager, Gateway CDD. Yes, we met with Evoqua on site, Xylem now. And they are going to make the repairs for the short-term improvements. I don't have a schedule from them yet, but I will be getting in touch with them. And then we need to decide on how we're going to move forward in the future, whether we're going to lease or own and pursue.
You looked into any county contracts, right? That was
So-
piggyback?
So they have a Lee County contract, but it's only for lease equipment. It is not for.
What's our gentleman's name? Vince?
Yeah.
Jim, this is
Jim, that's good.
Quick question for you. Are you familiar with the process that we have as currently designed and operating? Had you ever heard of
Yes,
it?
with that system, yes.
Was that system, because what I'm looking at, what you're doing says like you're putting a Band-Aid on a mortal wound. It might get us by sometime, but this looks like some design flaws in the calculation of pressures and things like that. How does this happen? If it would have been done right and we didn't have these leaks or issues relative to the leaks, would this thing have worked anyway?
Well, that's hard to say. It's not working well as it is right now. Normally you'd like to see that first stage, really doing 99% removal. It's of H2S and it's not getting anywhere near that. So the system is just performing poorly anyway. I would have to have them get the fan speed back up to where it was originally designed and retest for pressure to see if it actually could work in that case. It's not outside of I think the original design parameters were to see the wet well ventilated at about 6 air changes per hour, I think is what this size is based on. And we're saying that in order to keep it under negative pressure, we would increase that.
Okay, and then the second part is that I see the cost purchase versus lease. Where it looks like what we're doing is debt financing $200,000 for 10 years, $20,000 a year, but that works out to be $1,500 a month, but yet the price is $3,700 a month. What am I missing? What's added in that lease deal for the $2,000 differential?
Let me see here.
If I'm paying $385 to buy it, and I'm paying $185 as a down payment to lease it, I still have $200,000 in debt finance. From $200,000 debt finance to 10 years, which is 120 months, sure as hell isn't $3,700 a month unless you got some.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, all that is that
it don't match.
Right, yeah. So that 185,000 is just the costs that are still there, that it has nothing to do with the cost of the equipment. So The only upfront cost that that Xylem charges for that lease option is that second line, that $74.50, because they do the install. But the other line items in there still have to be done. The demo of the existing structural
That's
site.
cost.
That's right. Yep, this site. Yep, nothing to do with the equipment. Yep,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
right. Yep.
But my only concern is that, I'd love to hear when our consultant that did this, or our vendor that did this, comes back and sees this report. I'd love to hear his explanation. What happened? Somebody screwed up.
How old is this?
Do you know the lift station?
I don't have any, I don't have any.
Stony Brook. How old your community?
2002, 2000.
Wait a minute, you talking about the lift station or the odor control?
I don't know.
That's not that old. It's what, like 4 years, 5 years?
No, I've been here for 5 years and
That was before that?
yeah, I want to say it was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Is that a useful life?
2010 or 11 when it was installed.
10 years
I
is
believe.
useful life?
That's what it says.
Well, we brought it, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we got another one, and I think you pointed out, is at the church. If we're gonna do this once, let's get it done in both locations and see what we can negotiate as far as the deal. Because we gotta solve this problem. And this looks like to me, just reading that engineering report, is that you can go in, like I said, you can put the Band-Aid on it, but it's gonna die.
Right.
So we wanted to get this report in front of you as fast as we could. We notified the HOA that this report was coming and that Jim was doing the presentation. We have the short-term recommendations that we're proceeding with. We'd
This
like,
would definitely be an SRF
absolutely.
project, no doubt about it.
Or HMGP.
Yeah.
We are looking at the alternatives, into the different contracts, if there's any state contracts, sheriff contracts that
Trying
we
to
can,
identify.
that we can do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we would like to have this discussion as part of the budget discussion with capital projects moving forward for next year.
Along with other ones that are out.
Exactly, exactly. So we definitely need to get Jim back next year to do Girl Scout. You know, that's on the list. I think we might have even identified potentially one other one, but
Is it broken?
no. But we want to address this one since we're ahead of the game. We need a little bit more time to do some homework with the longer term options and seeing what's.
Well, meantime, see if the Band-Aid works for a while.
Exactly. So, I've told Vince, I've told Stony Brook that we want a permanent solution out of this, and that is still our intent. I believe it's this board's intent. Same with Girl Scout. We'd like to address this once and for all. But these things take time and clearly money. So.
I would like to move towards a long-term solution.
Yes.
I agree.
I agree.
Could I ask a question? There are 3 other lift stations in our communities and they continue to have odors escaping from them. It's not like this is the only one. And I think it seems like in this, proposal here, they're only addressing one item when we have
With
3 others.
when Jim came in here, was his scope of work limited to
Yeah.
just this?
Yes.
I think we need to get him back in here and do a community-wide deal. And get this-
Understood. We have a budget we're trying to stay within this year. We have a meter project that
How much was this?
Jim's price was
15,
15, like
17,000.
Yeah, 15,000,
Just for
17,000, just for the single one. So that's why we were,
To do this report?
yes, and him to come down and do his assessment, do his analysis. So that's why we said
But
we're
we
planning
can't
on.
go anywhere further and have.
How many stations do we have? 17?
And Stony, for the Stony
So-
system,
Can you just, guys, please,
total,
total?
28 or 29.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
So
And we have a couple more coming.
but we don't, I know I've got several in my community and I'm not hearing anything about the odors. I've heard about this, obviously, and the one at the church.
I heard about the church.
Those are the 2 big ones. If there are others,
those
we
are,
need to know it.
those are our top priorities. Understanding the Stony Brook one is first. We needed to get this report, which we've done. Now we've got some options for long-term. We just have to decide if it's lease or purchase. We have to look at financing options on both of those. So we plan on bringing those options back to you as part of the budget discussions that are coming here in the next 2 months.
Is the odor control at the church the same equipment that's at Stony Brook?
It's the same equipment, but I believe it's not exactly the same. It's the same looking, but I believe there's some small differences in,
I think smart money is really just doing right.
System also.
it is also, yeah, they were done at the same time, from my understanding.
We just need to make sure we got the right information. And I'd love to hear the vendor that we got. I want to hear his story as to what his explanation of why, what this guy points out seems to be problematic.
I asked how the units got placed, where they got placed, and he said he didn't have that information. That was just, that's what he knows is there.
So we're working towards the short-term solutions. We've already have them out. We're gonna get those done as soon as we possibly can. And we're looking at the long-term solutions that Jim has recommended. As long as this board supports that.
And then where is this equipment located elsewhere down here in South Florida?
Oh, yes, yes.
Do we
it
have
sure
the
is.
same equipment in other areas down here that we can make some contact with?
Sure, yes.
Appreciate getting that information.
How many of the units that are in product are similar, or are they completely different?
We have nothing. We have
Those
nothing.
stations out there don't have this.
No, we don't have any odor control in Pelican.
Your reason is not a problem.
They were designed and working properly.
It's a function of a lot of things.
It wasn't put in when they were built.
Because we have a lot of problems with the city of Fort Myers. Odor. But I haven't heard of anything from that.
It's not an uncommon problem, but the issue is that,
I haven't heard anything.
I have.
No, we got a couple of them out there.
City, but not for product.
But we have not only the cities.
Anybody have any other questions for Jim?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you very much.
Be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
The lift station doesn't have odor control.
Well, a lot of them don't have odor control. It just depends upon how and what the time and the pipes that where it discharges to, what flows coming into. They're all so different. I've had lots of pump stations. I've never put odor control on. It never had any.
Thank you.
I get right down there, but
But what gets me on this one is we went to somebody that we thought knew what they were doing and gave us a price and it was to work. And now it appears to have issues. I think you need to know the answers to what happened.
We're gonna follow up.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Next item,
On 48.
Doug Zanner is here. If you would like for him to shed some light on this, but ultimately, the ponds subcommittee went out for quotes for two ponds, ponds 47 and 48 in Pelican. Copeland was originally awarded pond 48, but has since withdrew his bid. And the pond subcommittee, so as supported by the pond subcommittee and PPAC, correct me if I'm wrong, has recommended to move to the second low bidder of extreme divers for pond 48.
So the guy that won the bid didn't have enough, he went over beyond his bonding capability?
No.
He just
He just can't get it done.
Can't get it done. He has 8 or 9 other ponds in the queue in advance of this, and wasn't even sure he was gonna be able to get it done this dry season.
Okay.
And some of them are in Gateway. Some of it's on
the other way.
the Gateway. aren't they?
Yeah, no, doing a motion?
No, and I thought it was.
No, Copeland is not doing anything.
I'm ready to go with it because
You don't have another choice.
it's the obvious choice.
I'll make the motion.
Just so you know, by the way, part of the thing we gotta work through, Doug Zanner Ponds Group, part of the thing we gotta work through is the speed to get, and so he did this contract, started working with us in June. Okay, and by the time we awarded it, he got all these other contracts that small businesses don't wait for.
So Extreme took the price essentially.
Well, their price was actually $650 cheaper.
Go ahead. I'll make the motion to
Oh, I made the motion.
accept. Oh, you made it, right? I'll second. I'll second.
Say
Aye.
Thank you.
You guys lucked out.
All right, so let's go, F. Is Doug not online yet?
He's
I'm
got
here.
two,
Oh,
I think he's got two logins on there, so.
All right.
He said he's back. All right,
Can you hear?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So this next item, I do have Arcadis on the line in case you have any specific questions about their letter, but this is step 1 of a 2-step bidding process for the meter box replacement project. We received 2 bids, one from National Metering Services and one from Met Tower Environmental Inc. The
No
First-
protest?
No protest, not yet. Stop. The first step is a statement of qualifications package. So the bidders were required to submit a statement of qualifications, which all of those requirements were vetted by Arcadis and by district staff. The selection committee and Arcadis both recommend deeming these two qualified bidders. And if this board agrees, both of the pricing proposals submitted that are still sealed would be opened tomorrow for the meter box replacement, so the labor portion only of the meter replacement project. And that pricing will come back to you on March 6th.
This isn't the trial fee,
This is the full deployment.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll make that motion to accept those two as the qualified bidders.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Who are you
thank you.
giving the second to, since Bob and Carol said it at the same time?
Carol raised her hand. She wanted to.
Okay, Carol.
Light lit up quicker.
All right, thank you. We will open those bids tomorrow and bring this back to you on March 6th. Thanks, Nicole.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, this next item, I don't know, Stephen Agapi, no, we dropped it off. Ultimately, we went through Tetra Tech designed the first phase, I'll call, of the CCTVing of the sewer lines. The figures are in front of you. We just wanted your blessing on them before we solicited for the cleaning and.
So each one of these aerials are showing and depicting a sewer that we have previous information on. And said we want to go in and have need to clean and televise
This
these.
is what Tetra Tech is recommending we start with.
What was the basis of collecting the data? If we hadn't cleaned and televised these previously, did we have a Ouija board or what told us to go to these?
Tetra Tech recommended that we start at these manholes and work our way out. So that's what the engineer recommended, and that's what we're proceeding with, unless the board chooses otherwise.
Have we ever done this before, the CCTV?
We've done it on portions of.
Very small portion.
Mostly storm sewers.
But we haven't ever done a system wide.
No, ma'am.
Correct.
On the sewer, no, we have not.
So this is the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're gonna do this over 5 years or 10 years?
5 or 7, depending on how the budget and how much we can get done in timing. Oh, good.
I think the only CCTV we've done on the sanitary sewers where we're having issues. We haven't actually done like proactively gone in and well.
So this is step 1.
20, 30 years of sewers in the ground and not being inspected.
Oh, boy.
Fun. So we're open Pandora's box.
Yeah.
All right, so we're.
Yeah.
So we're looking for your blessing so we can let this next week.
So moved.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Thank you. All right. Next order of business. Your last meeting, Mr. Geppert brought up the.
Let me go back one thing. If Stephen would do this, and I think they can, I see their little legend over here in the corner, but kind of crude. Can they put this on an aerial, like a 24 by 36, to where we see a picture of Gateway and see where all these deals are? Right now, looking at this, I don't get an order of magnitude or scale of what I'm looking at. A bigger map.
Our friend's big map.
Yeah, just put these on a big map of where they generally are.
We can do that.
Nothing fancy, just something to show where they're at. Because these look like they're all over the place.
Is everybody?
I'll take my phone.
No.
No.
No, you don't want that? Okay. Getting copies. Got it.
Give mine to Doug.
Okay. All right,
Right.
ready?
This little key up here, over my box.
Yeah, I saw that. That's what I'm saying. That's very difficult to
Okay.
get organized just exactly where they're at.
I only have one. I'll give it to you.
How many segments are on here anyway?
Okay, can we go to the
Ready when you are.
the draft? So I'm assuming, Tony, you wrote this, the outline for the
Policy.
policy,
Eastern Falls.
the draft?
I'm sorry, I'm still in the little boxes, sorry. I'm going.
Remove
Oh, yes, I did. I drafted it.
Okay,
With edits by
so
Chelsea.
first of all,
With that, it's per usual, but so that's always in a footnote, Chelsea.
when it says draft 213, it's 2025, not 35.
Getting ahead, that's good.
Yeah.
He's psychic.
On the third paragraph, after staking, the pond will be walked with the engineer of record and district staff. And I thought we were going to include the contractor also.
You don't have a contractor. yet.
We, yeah, really didn't want it.
Yeah,
We don't want the contractor?
no, we want to be staff, yeah.
At this point, in the process, the engineer is starting design. And so, but they have to do design before we can ask contractors to bid on the work. So we're not at that point.
So
I believe what we
and
asked
the
was a
size of
subcommittee.
equipment,
It was a subcommittee.
part of the contract, part of the bidding then?
They'll know
They'll
with the
know.
plans what space they have available.
Staff and the engineer can consult with the contractor if they have
If they need it.
questions, if they need it. But to have them going out and walking it, what that raises the question of somebody getting advanced knowledge.
Yeah, in Pelican, the ponds does it.
And I think that's what,
Yes, I saw the.
We're happy.
I think that's the way. to go. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, and then on the third line, on that same paragraph, the area needed for construction, and then parentheses, as well as long-term maintenance requirements, parentheses. I thought we were looking at this job by job, not clearing everything for some future problem that may arise or may not arise or whatever. I'm wondering why that was added in parentheses.
We have to, after we get the pond done, we have to be able to maintain it. And those same trees could be when the water level is up, those same trees or obstacles could be a blockage to allow the maintenance.
Carol, you're exactly correct. But if it's a very small, like a coconut mesh, then that doesn't even apply.
So-
Yeah, I think it was an attempt to be proactive, so that, question, looking at what's the scope, what area do we need to work at, what vegetation is there, what's in the way? Well,
Words to get us back to the clear cutting.
So Carol, to your point about the vehicles, so we
Yeah.
know who our maintenance contractor, what type of vehicle they use. And to Ed's point, if at peak rainy season, we know the water's gonna be a foot up over the mean high, and we know our contractor uses an 8-foot wide buggy, well, and if they're doing construction and it's low, we as staff in the ponds maintenance group, they know, okay, Solitude uses a Kubota, so we gotta account for that as part of this construction.
The issue is
That
maintenance.
I understand. I just didn't want somebody to come in, some staff person to come in and say, well, we have this long-term maintenance things, so we gotta have all 20.
Okay, we know what the intent of the policy is.
I wouldn't even go long term, I would
key-
perpetuity.
The key is the maintenance is
Yeah.
performed during high water level.
Perpetuity.
That's
Yeah,
it.
because there is no such a thing as long term, it's forever.
Okay, in the next paragraph, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down, if a property owner wants the encroachment to remain. I
but
think you want either the word desire or you
That's
want
correct.
the word want.
that's a
Doesn't
scrivener's
matter.
matter. So a strike wants and use desires.
Okay,
Yeah, one of those two.
and then on the next paragraph, the third line down, the district board may decide to allow or all or a portion of such encroachment to remain. What do you mean by may decide? I mean, I thought we were only getting the ones where the people decided that they would like their trees to remain and therefore they could come before the board and ask it and fill out the proper form and pay the money and all that sort of stuff. I didn't think that job by job, the board would decide to allow something or not.
Is this some?
I thought that,
You can't find a future board. The board makes each decision, that it's an ad hoc decision based on each parcel of land. But you really can't find a future board by action on this kind of action. Fine, yeah,
fine.
fine. They need to affirmatively make a determination.
Okay, is there some way of saying that a little clearer than what that is? Because that is not how I interpreted those words.
Well, again, it's always at the discretion of the board.
But a future instead of the.
Okay.
You're just looking forward, correct, Tony?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I had nothing with the rest of it, but
I just have that.
For perpetuity. perpetuity on under the parentheses that we just talked about, as well as a law, as a
Perpetual.
perpetual maintenance. Tony, you got that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm okay with that.
I am too. Your reason?
What I would do then,
Changes and-
with the board, when the board approves of it, adopts this policy with these corrections, change the date of that. Well, the date, the draft was way on certain.
Move it 10 years.
You know, change the date and put that in the top, change long-term to perpetual and strike wants and have it as desired.
Hold your rest of your building until 2030.
Okay, so that's Bob's motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Carol, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the 11I, this is the one that's coming back to us because now that we have done what we have done with respect to the Alamedes, I'd like to get the 11I approved because it was approved by the Fonds Group and it was recommended for approval by BMAC. We just took the more narrow view at the time of enforcing the 20-foot elevation. With this guy, we don't have a problem with this thing. He's fine. So I'll make a motion.
This was one, however, that the city of Fort Myers specifically said,
Well, the only reason they did that is because of the position we took.
I thought when he got the permit the first time, he did.
Everybody has,
They said, do not put landscaping.
everybody that builds a pool has the same thing, what they're told not to do. And they all do, everyone, including the bill. So we're not giving him any extra benefit. If we need that space, he knows it's gonna come out.
And this is something that was, he came back to us.
No, I
This was resubmitted by Mr.
after we had the discussion where we were taking the more, I'll call it enlightened approach, for lack of a better word. Then I wanted this one to be reconsidered, in as much as it was approved by both pods and he.
So how does this impact our other communities that have the same issues right now?
Yeah.
I mean, this great.
It's no different than any other one.
Are we gonna bring it up? I mean, I don't expect me to do it, so to be bringing it up if the resident is not bringing it up, right? Because I'll start with that.
Well, if we approve this, well, I'm afraid that was, we're going to open the door to allow all of the owners on ponds that are yet to have started to be able to come in and ask for the same thing.
But they're gonna do it. I mean, every pond we have,
Well, this one didn't do it.
well, no,
That was-
he still did it. He still did it. But he
So-
tried to do it the right, we tried to do it by the book,
And
as the book was written at that time. We've since said, if you're still 18 feet from the pond, we don't really care. And we're not giving up our right to the future that it comes out.
So
That still remains.
previously you rejected this because we had a 20-foot clear cut LME policy. I believe Mr. Geppert has requested to bring this back in light of the recent policy change that occurred at the last meeting and you just ratified now. And giving the property owner the opportunity to have his application approved with the easement use agreement.
Okay, so my point is that this approval that we did at the last meeting, that set the line and drew the line in the sand that anybody after that can come in and ask for the same deal.
And that's what I feel. I feel like now that we all in agreement with the document that we just approved.
We should open that door.
Yeah, but not prior to, I think it's going forward,
That's a different story.
right?
That's a different story. Anything that hasn't started construction wise, should people that are in those ponds or on those ponds should have the same access. To
Well,
come
the
in
reason-
and.
I don't disagree with you, Ed, but we told this guy, if he did it and followed the 500 bucks, he was gonna get it.
No, who said that? Who said that?
No, that was the expectation.
No, who said that? Like, none of us, I mean, I haven't
It
seen
didn't get
that.
out here. This was handled way at a much lower level.
So that's the problem. They don't have. that
I
ability.
understand that. I'm not arguing about that.
But
I'm saying this guy-
all that is water over the dam. As far as I'm concerned, we made the decision to make a change. Let's make it across the board and anybody that wants to come in and follow the new deal, then we do it.
So you're saying
then
to
we're
deny
set.
him?
Do what?
Did I just hear you say you want to deny him?
No, I'm saying that the policy we just went over, which we appear to have consensus on.
Agreed.
That is in effect right now, and anybody that's endangered by that or impacted by that by previous decision before that last meeting is now eligible to come in for the change. In other words, if you got, if you were clear cutting,
One more time.
if you were told to be clear cutting 20 feet, you don't need to be clear cutting 20 feet. We can exempt.
We didn't say that, when we said it at the
Ed,
meeting, we
are
said,
you,
if it
are you
started,
agreeing with him and reconsidering?
I'm agreeing with the new policy, which was, well, I should have probably done it in the first place, but that's what I wrote today. We now have that policy in place. Let's.
And this will conform,
Do what?
and this one conforms to our new,
Yeah, that, all I'm saying is I don't have any issue with that.
That's-
I just want to
we
make
don't-
sure that everybody,
anyone that says that.
everybody that has that same requirement,
I know where
do
you-
it.
I know where you're going with this. You're thinking 109. And yes, I know, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
109, 127, I mean, you can just list them.
So the direction from the board, and just so you guys know where I stand, and Daniel and I just talked about this today. Any ones that have not started active
That's what I
construction are going back and reverting back to the policy that you just adopted. So we're waiting
Well, and that's fine.
with
They
109.
not start, yeah, okay.
So that's what I
With
said.
109.
Yeah, if they not start construction, we can go back.
With 109. We're waiting, as of right now, those property owners, Daniel and I just talked about this today. Those property owners are under the guise that they have a 20-foot clear cut. We're waiting on Met Tower to go out there and actually stake it and walk it. And we're gonna give notice to the property owners, hey, policy, I was waiting on today, policy changed. Once the survey goes out, we'll work with each individual property owner on what stays and what goes. Right? That's moving forward.
With that, I don't know.
But for this one, so the staff recommendation is on here, says denied the encroachment request because I copied it over. If the policy if he were to come in today or tomorrow, let's just say tomorrow, and the policy is as you just approved it, I would approve this administratively. Because your policy that you said says, can we work with it?
And so that's my question, like, has staff in Tetra Tech said they can work with it? Because that's what I don't have to make the decision.
Tetra Tech has not gone out and.
Because that's what, so that's the thing, like, this is great, I'll be willing to say yes, if we follow what we just approved 5 minutes ago.
I totally.
And we don't have that,
Okay,
so I think this is a little too soon.
So we have to, we
We
just
don't
need,
have it, we just approve it, like, well, one of the requirements that I'm not taking any comments from the floor, not right now.
it doesn't sound like. it's-
You're talking.
so.
But I don't hear it right now.
Here's what I suggest. So you guys can give staff the authority to
That's
go
what
with the
it's gonna-
engineer
That's what I did. Yeah, and then we can approve.
and administratively make the decision.
And I'll accept whatever they.
So that's what I'm saying, like,
Okay.
let's just not miss that step that we just approved.
And that complies with what we just did.
Exactly, so it's in line.
So Daniel, I'll get Daniel to coordinate some time and go out with Tetra Tech next time.
That's all I want, let's follow.
Now I got my cost hat on. Every time Daniel goes out, I get a 2-hour
Oh.
charge. Daniel's been there enough. He knows what it looks like. A quick call will do it.
Well, I got to get the engineer there because that's the policy that you guys just approved and a subcommittee person.
There will be that.
the Policy.
Yeah, there you go.
So
But
we
I
can,
think the subcommittee has already done that.
Yeah.
So we check mark that and then we just meet Tetra Tech and.
So-
So it should be consistent that we will be able to
Daniel's
approve
done
it the next meeting.
if you want to leave it in my hands to administratively approve it,
Yeah,
I can do that.
That would be an appropriate motion to authorize
That was my
I'm
motion.
fine with that. Okay,
approval.
So that's fine.
That's my motion.
I'll second that. Go ahead, I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
So this next item,
Starts back on the right track again.
God.
this next item, is Mr. Shaw who came in earlier. Would you like to refund his $500 application fees costs since he was caught in the midst of the policy change? And came to both meetings
I make that
and
motion.
we were able to work
Well,
around it.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that, but I'd like, the only other person that paid
Was the chairman?
was the Tiberium guy. I'd like to extend the same consideration they got.
We will look at a lot better light with the
Yes.
community, doing
And if
it.
we're doing it properly.
For $500, it
Laura
isn't
has,
bad.
Laura has a very good point.
Then
This-
still bring it up.
Mr. Shaw is.
You just don't like that I'm right.
Mr. Shaw has a direct correlation with pond bank restoration work. Tiberia he was doing it with his own accord as a pool
We'll
install.
never do this. I don't like them.
So,
Why penalize?
My deal with gas, my opinion on, yes, I would refund it
I'd
and
like to wait.
have good, community relations.
both, you want
That's
to
what we
refund
need.
those?
Yeah.
Both or one?
I would do them all. We made a mistake a long time ago. We're correcting it. Let's let Mike.
So we have, right?
Yeah, they're the only two. Tiberius, the very first one.
No,
that
we
we did.
approved the one. We approved the one gentleman with the, to remove his silver palms, but not his royals, Gordon Hutton.
Did he pay $500?
Yes. He's the one that we.
Well, that is not what I heard.
Yeah, we
I heard it
approved,
was the wrong one.
yes, because we approved his with the condition that he was gonna fill up the form and pay the check.
Okay,
And he did that the next day.
okay. So it was
So-
correct at the time.
Mhm.
The only one had been.
Yes, the one that submitted correctly, it was February.
Okay,
I think that's the,
This had benefit.
I agree. okay. So again, I have the motion.
so all three then, or just the two?
The
Just the two
I believe
candidates.
the two, as long as you, because the other one was already.
And I second that.
I need clear
I
on,
need to be clear on this.
Yes.
The gentleman that came in the contingency that we were going to approve following the check, we approved it.
Yes, and it was approved at the time when we didn't have an alternative solution.
Correct.
That's the
Okay.
difference. That's my opinion.
So you're saying
That's the difference.
refund Shaw and refund Hutton, which is the one that you approved, and then this one here, we're just talking about.
February.
Refund Tiberio and Shaw.
So not,
That's what it was.
Tiberio, Shaw, and not Hutton.
and not Hutton.
Correct.
Technically, Tiberios was under the 20-foot LME clear cut.
It's not being related.
So if you're gonna do any, the only one I would suggest you doing is Shaw, only because the policy at the time of application was 20-foot clear cut on Hutton and on Tiberio. Shaw, you guys were discussing between last meeting and this meeting.
I know. Someone say,
You said twice we want
You're
to.
suggesting refunding whom?
Shaw,
Just Shaw.
just Shaw.
Just this one right here.
Yeah, I'm saying Shaw and Tiberio.
If you, then I think you need to do Hutton,
Then you.
and then you do all.
Yeah.
Okay, do it. Okay,
Make a motion.
I make a motion, we do all three.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Sean, the Tiberio and.
This is a.
Okay, and then so we're not gonna consider Shaw's easement use agreement because we were able to work through it.
It's on your hands
Okay,
and staff and engineers.
okay. This was fun.
All right, so then we move methodology. We don't have it as K anymore. Monthly reports. Oh, did I miss something? No.
Okay. I have two items I'd like to address before we jump into monthly reports. In here, we have Gateway Fest. We have some VIP parking for board members here. Gateway Fest is, it's gonna be here at the Sherman Soccer Complex on March 2nd from 4 to 8 p.m. We're gonna have food trucks, 4 to 5, with one being Irish food. We'll have the scoop it up ice cream. We'll have the Rotary Club back with beer and wine. We'll have Colm Keegan, who is an Irish singer-songwriter, best known as a principal performer in the world-renowned singing group Celtic Thunder. We'll have some axe throwing for adults and children, cornhole, mini golf, putt ski. Bring your chair and relax for an evening on the field. I've got VIP parking pass and a map for each of you, so you can pass them down.
This is a Saturday.
If that's on March 2nd, yes.
It's the same.
I believe it's also the same day that the Twins and the Red Sox play at the same time.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah, so they're all playing the same day.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's 4 to 7.
So don't leave the community, come to the Sherman Soccer Complex and don't leave Gateway.
Yeah, the second is both the Boston team
You
and
invited us?
the Twins team.
That's item, you don't need it, oh yeah. The second item is, you all we mentioned it earlier, we have the groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for next Thursday at 4 p.m. at the Commons. OAK is coordinating that event. I do want to know if any of you would like to speak. I do have lobbyists scheduled to speak, but anybody else, would anybody else like to speak during that?
Would it be disingenuous if I said how much I was opposed to it?
We might mute your mic at that time, but we have invited South Trail, Sheriff, Cecil, all of, those folks, Lee County staff.
Have you got an agenda?
Yeah, we're working on that. OAK is working on that. We will, if you do choose to speak, we will have your speech written.
You're gonna have pictures. I'm sorry.
We'll have yes, we'll have boards.
Pictures, so people, a lot of people are asking, hey, where do we go to be able to see what this whole thing's gonna look like?
Yep, so it'll be from about 4 to 6 p.m. We'll have those printers, we'll have people coordinating the parking. We'll have a big tent, we'll have chairs, we'll have a mic, we'll have some small refreshments and snacks.
My answer to your question is no. Okay.
And I think it's been noticed in the paper, will be noticed.
You were working with that?
No, I thought it was Georgia.
No, I thought you had that.
Well, then.
Okay, I'll go with Georgia.
Okay,
And I have a 5:30 dinner that night, so. I
okay.
have to leave at 5.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think it, you
Stop
know,
it.
hey, Chelsea, I think
Yeah.
you and I had talked previously. I think it would be really nice if, you know, all the board members, said a little something. Maybe we can take some different areas like you and I mean, you know, someone can kind of cover the history. I think Carol, with all your work with the parks group, I think it would be really great if
Just leave you.
I just
You know.
answered no. Maybe you didn't hear that part.
We hear you, Doug.
yeah, so I think it'd be
It would
great.
be, it would be nice if everybody was completely 100% on the board.
Yeah.
And at the 3 billion, I would have been, at 8 million, I'm still joking. So, okay. I'll be 8.
I'll work
We'll
on
give you
it.
the shovel.
So how about I send
I already
you,
gave you the show.
how about I send you what Randy and OAK are work on, and you can, if you have any input, but I need the chair to speak, if only for a short time.
Yes,
I-
can I give you what Randy gave me, 2 pages, because I'll summarize that to 2 paragraphs.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, similar details, so I can plug it in.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Moving to monthly report.
I mean, Daniel should say something as well, since he's.
He'll be there.
No, saying something.
Hey, I've
Oh.
got someone within the community that,
He's fine, but Bill would like to say something as well. He lives in the community.
sorry, what was that?
Flavia's being Flavia.
It's almost time. Go ahead, Doug, sorry. Chelsea.
No, it's that, you know, if we had, you know, someone within the community that maybe could also speak, who maybe has kids or someone that's been involved. I got a couple.
We're gonna have to, let me send you what we have tentatively scheduled. If you have any input, we're glad to take it.
Yeah, Ron Senior usually likes to speak.
Okay. We're gonna have the chair of the PrAC committee say something. We're gonna,
Who's the chair now, by the way?
Paul Leo Grant. I'll get it to you, Doug.
Thank you.
All right, admin monthly report, anything for Laura?
Sure, nothing for me, nothing. Nothing about Thor?
Nothing for Laura? Admin monthly report?
Going once,
Every
going
time.
twice?
No, the only thing I have is I'm still waiting to come over for the sheriff one.
Okay, yeah, please.
I still
Yeah.
have not gotten into that.
Okay, let us know. All right, nothing for Laura, anything for Public Works?
Yes, go down, the painting of the monuments, for the individual things. Has that started up again?
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
started off with the, what's it, the Trieste Bridge?
Yes, and then they did Ravenna.
Yeah, they did the one with the,
in the report here somewhere, it says that, Tiberio was done.
so far since we started back up, there's been 2. They're working on the 3rd right now.
Monticello's completed, Ravenna's half done, and Toscana's today. They're going right up the pipe.
Yeah, work from front of the
So
neighborhood.
do you think it will all be done?
That's all.
Because I've had a number of people say to me, well, are they gonna change the colors? We don't like those colors. So are they changing the colors? Is that why they're not painting everything?
No.
And I said, no, I don't think so. Well, then why don't they have it painted by now?
It's gonna take about 32 weeks of my last calculation.
Well, got limited amount of hours for manpower
3 hours a week,
and they're working their way through it slow but sure.
16 hours a month. That's what we're spending, 16 hours a month. That's cleaning the vegetation around, making sure that the electrical is all cleared out of the way.
I thought they
Trimmed
were,
down. No, landscape.
and I thought they already did the.
Some things are still
I thought
too
they already
close.
did the.
Some shrubbery is still too close to our monuments, and they're, he had done each one individually.
Okay.
And they'll be on Doggy Reserve Boulevard within 2 weeks, and then everybody will have it shut off.
So by the end of this year, it'll be done?
We're trying,
I would think.
minus any weather getting in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really.
It's
the
February.
only-
As much as we can get done, Al, you're gonna get 2 a week. As much as it gets done between now and rainy season.
Unless you want to be sloppy with the painting. They're pretty good.
They're doing a very good job. They're doing a very
The
good job.
cut-in's pretty good.
Okay.
I go talk to them every day. They're out there.
Where they getting the paint from? Sherwin-Williams?
Yes.
That I don't know. I didn't ask that. Didn't ask when he got the brush.
Okay, thank you.
Any
That's
other-
all I have.
All right, anything else for Public Works? All right, anything for Mr. Shaw with utilities?
We'll hear back with the company on the odor control house thing.
We'll follow up.
You don't have
Get
to
that.
use it.
Oh, are you gonna make the announcement? I don't think so, this is Bill, but the issue of they pulled off doing the street lights until April or May.
So the underground utility contractor is still for the FPL conversion project. He is still plugging along. They did an irrigation line yesterday, but.
I saw that.
The actual pole setting crew for FPL, they had to pull off. Because the county they need a right-of-way permit and to close a part of a lane to set the poles because of how their rig is figured. And the county will not let any lane closures between now and April. So they'll be back after April to come set the poles, but once they come and start setting, they roll. So the underground guys are gonna be getting well ahead of the pole setting crew. Anything for Mr. Shaw? I do want to add one thing, with the anticipation of award of both the AMI, the metering on the 6th, as well as the box replacement on the 6th. We're working on, putting together a plan of where the meter box contractor is going to start based on shipment of delivery of boxes. We do intend on having a night public meeting for, as we progress, like we did with the pilot. So once we find out who's the contractor, work with them on scheduling and timing, but as of right now, I think tentatively, we're contemplating starting in Pelican, because it's cleaner and single meter boxes.
Single meter.
Single meter boxes.
For the most part, there's a small part of Matarita has
Yeah.
double meter boxes.
So there will be communication going out, and like I said, we will be hosting a town hall meeting, a public meeting with staff, the contractor, and then any of the residents that are impacted for at least the first neighborhood or two. And then as we progress, we'll continue on.
Are we gonna hold that over in Pelican since that's where they're
If
showing?
they let us, yeah,
Shoot me what you want. and
I will.
We can always have it at the golf course. They said we could use that.
Yeah, well,
Wherever.
in the next 2 weeks, I'll get you with you.
Are we finished with the pilot? that we-
Yeah, no, we haven't, so once we award the 3
Ready to meet
contractors for the meters, then they'll come in and they'll swap their meters out. But the boxes of the pilot, it's done.
Box portion is-
So we know the box we're gonna end up with. then.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I ever heard.
They're coming in, they're rolling.
I can show you every.
Now we gotta-
No, I- that's what's up.
One out there.
We tried 3 different companies, right? And we selected.
We're going to try 3 different companies.
You're talking about the meters, they're talking about the boxes.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the boxes is what we were piloting.
No,
No.
we're done. We're piloting the meter itself.
We know what box we selected, because we had to tell the metering companies to make sure that their meters could fit in our box. So we're picking 3 on the 6th. Hopefully you'll award to the 3 vendors that the selection committee recommended. And then as soon as we get that approval, we can issue NTP. They can schedule, I think most of them said all 4 vendors said 30 days.
Every
Have
day.
you determined where the 3 are going? Which-
Yes,
Okay, so that's done.
yes.
They're on the 6th of March. We're not doing the master.
No.
This is just for.
You're doing math.
It'll be
100.
Hold on, you're doing full deployment boxes on the 6th. Because the boxes gotta get ahead.
And the meter will come in later.
And
The meters
pilot,
coming on the 6th. For the 3 vendors we want to pilot,
The meters.
the pilot
pilot.
for the meters will come on
But
the.
they're all gonna use the same box. for
Yep.
every
Yeah.
meter.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I got.
300 of one, 300 of another, 300 of another.
No, 105 of each. 100, how many?
I think that was,
Meters.
yeah, 100, yeah,
Yeah,
300 total,
Total.
100,
yeah,
100.
105 of each basically, yeah.
Anything for Mr. Shaw?
Thank you.
What's going in when they demolish its Commerce Lakes and Gateway Block?
Departments.
That's the Santa Fe Cruise or something.
Garrett.
Garrett FM, and there's
5-story, 220.
256 apartments. And it's 5 or 6 buildings.
Any of them subsidized, rent subsidy?
They're gonna be 40%.
I'm not sure.
Wasn't that one of the requirements?
But if you're using the Live Local Act, that would be 40% workforce.
I believe that's what it was a requirement.
Yeah, if it's Live Local says if you have property that's zoned commercial, you can convert it to housing without going through any zoning approval, provided you have set aside 40% for the workforce. And then there's a criteria for that.
Well, that's part of the county's development order approval.
Yeah, which is fine. We knew. I think you gave us an update.
The workforce is different than Section 8, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing else for district manager.
All right, future board business?
No.
A couple things. One is if I could pass this out.
We didn't get the most updated version of the resolution for the CDBG policies earlier, so Tony reminded me and so I was like,
Let's do a little
a
walk through
vacation
here.
day.
Chelsea sent over the resolution and all the plan policies that CDBG grant project require. This is
Oh, this is to comply with those.
Well, yeah, we already, why did we print 8 lines?
Oh, you got me. Did you see what I'm holding?
Yeah.
GR pages?
It's right. That's how it came out red line. So the board previously approved the resolution 2025-10. And again, that was the original version and I had made some edits. My concern was and to make sure this resolution only applies to CDBG grant funded projects, not to all projects.
Yeah.
The district undertakes. So that's why.
Totally funded or partially?
Partially, either way.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, so I didn't want to have any project not funded with CDBG, subject to all the CDBG, you have Davis Bacon, you have a number of other. So that's why the resolution, it's policy solely and only projects funded internally
Limited.
by community, and that's what I said throughout. Now, in section 4 is only going to change, well, I added at the end of all, for the avoidance of doubt, the attached, I'll call it the citizen complaint policy and policy shall not and does not apply to any other project or projects of the district. When I get to section 4 of the revised resolution on the second page, that last sentence changed a bit because SRF does require Davis Bacon. So this last sentence in section 4 says, for the avoidance of doubt, the attached Davis Bacon section 3 policy adoption and policies shall not and do not apply to any other project or projects of the district.
Good.
Except and unless mandated by funding requirements of other agencies of the state of Florida for non-CDBG district projects. So that covers the SRF project. So what I'm requesting the board to do is to adopt a motion motion to amend the previously adopted resolution 2025-10 by adopting the revised resolution 2025-10 as modified and substitute this resolution in its place.
So moved.
Yeah, okay. I'll second. We're just basically adopting the amended.
Amending the prior adopted resolution by substituting this resolution.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I got that.
No, it's been a crazy couple of weeks in a lot of. A couple of things too, before I get into my list there is that we have a conference, I think it was referenced before, when Tom Shaner made this presentation. Chelsea, Laura and I have a telephone conference or Teams or Zoom meeting tomorrow with some representatives.
We may not be having.
Okay. Oh, they changed their mind?
She said she was gonna run it by her clients, so.
Yeah, they wanted to have Russ Wire there. We said, no, it's just gonna be the staff and council. And if they want to have their methodology consultant, but
You recall last time you said just staff, no Russ.
and that was made very clear, the email I sent last week and they asked for it.
They wanted Russ and we just clarified no.
They wanted to assign some methodology people to.
Well, the clarification was sent out last week.
Yes.
So now anyway, so that may or may not take place based upon, I guess that's breaking news. We need a cry on or breaking news that may or may not take place tomorrow. Then,
Oh, wait. We keep telling PPCA that they had an opportunity to critique Russ during these meetings. And they don't. They have an opportunity to make a 3-minute presentation. They're not getting the benefit of a give and take. Russ, if you did this, what is that? If this happened, what does that? But don't sit here and say that we've been completely candid. No, we haven't. Hell, I'm having a hard time getting over to me, but I feel like I've got it.
Well, I got the impression that they retained somebody.
Yeah.
Based upon advice.
They have retained 2 people.
From
They've
their
got
website.
they've got a lawyer if and when they need it.
No, I get that they retained a
They did.
methodology consultant.
Wait a second. And they way back in the beginning, went to a methodology guy named Fishbone.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we had a choice on whether we could hire Fishbone, and we said, because we couldn't find anybody else, we were supposed to have a second, and we said, no, they'll just do their thing, we're gonna do our.
And I thought they dropped it.
No, they didn't drop it, they haven't
No,
dropped
they
it,
hired it.
they did,
Oh, okay.
but they were willing
And
to,
they paid it.
they were willing to have us.
Where's the
use it as a second.
document?
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, I see what you're saying, it is valid. Did they do have 3 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
That's their frustration, that's what.
But also like like how we had items that were not even this complicated come in and Ross, I mean, look at Rod Senior. You just send us a 3-page email and he says, I may not be able to read all of this, but this is my thoughts. And then we had the ability to see that because we may agree or disagree, but we don't have it.
Yeah, I want to see a copy of it.
I want to see what they have. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, and they'll have more, I believe. I haven't been in meetings with them, but I'm guessing just in private conversations that they, like myself, they really want an understanding of what's incorporated. And they did want to have this give and take. That's why they wanted Russ to be here. Now, I had set up a separate meeting this past Monday, with Russ and myself and Ed Hedges, because Ed is very fluid and knowledgeable as a PPAC member of the budget and all. But I was advised by council and Chelsea not to do that, so we didn't. You know, I met with them on, and I got answers, and it was a worthwhile conversation. And then subsequently, Ed and I came over and talked to Laura, because there's a lot of confusion about what is in the methodology and the impact. But the budget is just as important, but it's completely separate.
Has Fishkind contacted Russ?
I have no idea.
I mean, just kicking this can down the road, if he's got his report done or his comments,
There's a
get it
concern.
to us so that we can all read it and then comment.
Absolutely, but in order for that to happen, Ed, you need Fishkind and Russ to consent on what's in each, so they both know what's going on. That's the thing that's been denied up to them.
We've given PPCA and their attorney every single document that you guys have seen. They have all that. We've gotten nothing from that.
So they have the ability to critique in detail. They're not able to.
I want to see the document, not hear what somebody says it is. I want to hear what Fishkind has to
Well,
say.
what we just received today, from the attorney representing the Pelican Reserve Community Association, is a 3-page letter that reiterates some of the prior comments they made before. It also articulates other matters. And again, there's been plenty of opportunity at all the workshops.
Go ahead.
Plenty of opportunity at all the workshops, the board meetings to present all of the materials that they're presenting in this letter to the board for its consideration. And what they want to do is have a sit down with the staff and a board member and their consultant and our consultant, try to hash items out. They've had the full opportunity to present all this to the board and say, board, can you give different direction to your consultant and your staff to do certain things?
Because they don't understand what Russ has been doing.
But they hire someone that can explain what Russ is doing because.
They won't have it. I'm speaking.
Well, what my comment was when he makes statements that it's being done wrong.
Yeah.
There could be a difference of opinion, but it would
Correct.
not be wrong. Their inference was it was being done wrong, and that's.
I'm not
I'm
having
from Missouri.
I'm just trying to tell you what the flavor is, the word on the street, that's it. But they do not feel like they've been a part of this process, and they feel that they want to.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing that I'm telling them, here's where we are right now, just get to the bottom line. I don't think there's enough money here to justify spending $100,000 or they've already spent over 50 on the lawyer. So why should they spend $200,000 for a $10,000 problem? So wait until it's done and we'll see where we're at.
Well, I guess But anyways, the board can read this letter because Chelsea, if you can then send to the board member. You haven't
I
got
haven't
it?
gotten any.
That just came in an email. Bear with me.
We've not received the letter.
No, I just
No,
got this
you just
now.
received it.
We just
We
received
got one
one.
a week ago, asking for the.
Oh, it was just sent to me. How come?
Okay.
What time was it? Was it?
4:14 PM.
Yeah, that's.
I don't see it.
I didn't either until just now. So I'm going to send this to Chelsea and Laura and they can circulate to the
And
board.
is this from their attorney?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And again, it's, I'm not gonna sit here and have a debate and, you know, and refute all the assertions here.
And I just want to add one thing.
But there's one sentence I find interesting, just for observation. No explanation has been provided to the Pelican Preserve property owners regarding the proposed methodology's significant deviation in the allocation of O&M assessments.
So
I disagree with that based upon all these workshops. They can disagree.
That's inflammatory.
like I mentioned to you, in our conversations about you and Ed Hedges meeting with Russ. Anybody has the opportunity to send myself an email, to send all of you an email with concerns that they have raised. I'd be more than happy to work through any concerns raised with the consultant. But Russ works for the district, which is U5. So.
Yeah, but it's also concerning, I'll just lay this out, because this is very, I applaud Laura and Chelsea and the responsiveness to the public records request made. Florida law does not provide for a standing public records request. In other words, I can't go to Lee County and say, I want you to send me every draft of every report you do on this project until it's finalized. No, each time you have to make a separate request.
And specific to.
Very specific. You can't, there's no standing request. And here's the statement then, PPCA and certain members of the district's board repeatedly requested methodology drafts in advance of the January and February Board of Supervisors meetings and only received them either immediately before the meeting or on the same day, and such drafts were not immediately made available to the general public. I think I can, on behalf of Chelsea and Laura, say we vigorously disagree with that. That's, in our opinion, completely wrong and incorrect.
They've been more than accommodating.
Yes. So
some of the reports have come on the day of the meeting.
Sometimes we get them the day of the meeting.
Okay, well,
Quite frankly.
Well,
But they're not a public record until we receive.
I think
Yes.
that's where they're coming from.
That's not what it says, Bob. I'm sorry, with all due respect, it does not say that. It's trying to paint a picture similar to the picture she tried to paint in Renaissance, where they're suing the CDD over there for public records violations and sunshine law. She's made all these requests and said they were not fulfilled. The facts here are way different than what the facts that I've read for the.
I'm not trying to defend them or anything else.
I'm just trying to say it's annoying.
They've made records requests for documents that we don't have.
Yes.
Kind of like we made records requests for receipts they didn't have.
But for money that was spent. Nice.
Well, whatever, it hurts.
Sorry, I'm trying to let that go.
Anyway.
So Tommy, your update.
My update.
Your update.
So anyways, we'll handle this accordingly after 5:00.
I know what
Just
happened.
let me meet tomorrow.
We're still meeting.
If we're still gonna meet.
It says to look forward to our discussion.
Again, sending such a letter the day before a meeting.
Okay, send it to us so we can all have.
I'm sending it right now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Very darling.
Anything else?
Fly through his update.
Yeah, he says.
I'm coming in for a soft landing. Not gonna.
Too late.
No, I know.
Have you seen what happened that way?
I know. I think my son's approach.
Come on, Doug.
Let me just give real quick, conference call. Okay, let me go through this. Administration, I just roll on down, assessment of reserve. Most of it's already done. Genope, we're still working through Genope and their council.
We're like this close.
Oh, yeah, but it's one of those where we're at 0.101%, but we trying to push that along.
It's not an insurance requirement.
Again, the documents, Pedro mentioned all the documents, and they have been doing the yeoman's work on it. Quite frankly, bond counsel have had an opportunity to review and had team calls with regards to the funding matters for the meter replacement project, and as well as the administration building. The irrigation meter, Stony Brook Village, I've prepared a draft revised bill of sale. I sent it to Charles Mann. I've not heard back from him, so that's still hanging. I've got competitive solicitations again. I get sometimes one a week, sometimes I get 3 a week to review the various documents. Randy is sure cranking them out for me. And so, and he's nudging me as appropriate. The contracts, Stony Brook Roads and Streets. I just had a follow-up email from Katie Perkey, the attorney for the association. Well, I'll be working on the first draft, hoping to get that off to her by over the weekend, so we can then begin circulating it to Charles Mann at Favis to get U.S. Homes on board with it. You know, Charles Mann and Favis, somebody usually take the position, as long as it's not going to cost them, they're happy to do this, and they've been very cooperative on this project.
Okay, so Tony, on that,
Yes,
clarify my memory. A minute. Stony Brook roads were originally put in place by Stony Brook. They were private roads, correct?
no, they were funded with a bond issue, and they were dedicated to the district, and the dedication was intended to constitute as a conveyance of the road, U.S. Homes and the district's position. But there wasn't a deed recorded or delivered to the district of the road. That's a significant difference between Pelican Reserve and Stony Brook. In Stony Brook, there's a dispute. The association disputes that the district owns the road. We say we own the road, U.S. Home says we own the road, but there's no deed. It was the position of the district and U.S. Home that the intent by the dedication was to convey it.
So the difference of Pelican is what?
It's unequivocal deed. They were deeded. Their feet, the deed were actually handed, there's no dispute. Here, there is a dispute that provides the opportunity for that resolution
Got it.
by a pre-litigation agreement.
Thank you.
Yes. The RFP for audit services, I got that out the door. I think I may have done it 2 days later. And the amended and restated assessment methodology, the notices in the news press, it was on the news, if anybody wants to see it, I have a full-page copy of it. That was placed in the news press on February 13th. Well in advance, and more than 30 days in advance of the public hearing. The storage tank MOU lease, I owe that to Chelsea, and that's supposed to be today, but probably Monday. Cross Creek bid protest, the memorandum decision was issued by the manager rejecting the protest. No appeal to the board was made, so that's now final. RFP.
So that'll drop off today.
That is dropped off, yeah. RFP for engineering CDBG project, that's been out the door, so that'll drop off also. Daniels Parkway Apartments utility issues, I'm looking at the draft agreements to see the target dates to take it to the board in March, probably a later date. Cost loan for the admin building, again, it's working up. What else do we have? That's it. Any other questions about that?
Just one question. On the turnover of the Stony Brook roads,
Yes,
where is there a Cliff Notes version of where that's standing?
yeah, that's the one where I'll be drafting a pre-litigation settlement agreement to resolve the dispute as to the ownership. And circulating it to attorney for Stony Brook and then to U.S. Home to bring it back to the board.
And what the current status, I think, is we don't have a problem turning it over to them.
I think that's the board's approach, is to do that.
And if we do, then that's a done deal.
Yes.
Okay, now. If that is what happens, how does Pelican differ if Pelican wants to rest?
So I just mentioned that to Carol,
I know.
there was no dispute as to ownership.
Well, I'm saying there's no dispute, but how can we still give them the roads?
Yeah.
Why?
Not based upon the attorney general's opinion.
So the only difference between Stony Brook here is there's a dispute over who owns.
That provides the opportunity to have a resolution of it.
That's a legal word, okay. But there's no opportunity.
There's a crack in one and not in the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
It's unequivocal and Pelican Reserve, the district owns it.
and the district,
Yeah,
we don't want to give them the roads?
I don't know that. That's a board function. But the alternative, if the board doesn't want to enter into that pre-litigation agreement with Stony Brook, the alternative is a lawsuit. We have to pull in the attorney general and the U.S. Homes, the district and Stony Brook. And a lawsuit to
Well,
resolve
if
it.
the 5 of us on the board said we wanted to shift the roads to Pelican, they want to, we want to send them. You're saying we can't do that.
Based upon the attorney general.
Okay, all right.
You want to make a motion? Anything else for Tony? No?
Okay, wait a minute, Bob, say that sentence that you just said once more. If the board,
If this board
yes,
wanted of their own volition to turn over the roads to Pelican communities, Tony is saying we cannot do that legally.
Okay.
based on the,
Even if they wanted
the
it,
general, so they,
Because if we could have, we would have done it.
yes.
Yes, you know,
We would have done
I
it.
know they still want it. I mean, I don't think we care, but
We left.
You know, one of the things, hopefully there might be down the road, some legislative changes to provide greater flexibility. In fact, Jennifer Klinsky in prior communications was indicating for other clients, maybe suggesting changes to 190. I don't know the status of any of that, but that
Anything
would be
else for
something to
Tom?
be very helpful.
Nothing.
For Tom? Agenda management. If you need Daniel, he'll be on a pond. If you need Bill, we'll be talking meters. If you need me, I'll be puppeteering everything. If you need Laura, she's gonna be crunching numbers. So we are extremely busy right now. And we've got a lot on our plate, budget's gearing up, but if there's anything that you guys see that we need to prioritize RWA, I just want to make note that they will be attending at the next meeting. They're at 30% design of the irrigation system replacement. We are for looking to pursue grant funding with, I think it's FDEP. It's the one you got, Ed, and Gateway Greens, or you guys were close to getting or something with somebody, with some agency. That Mainscape applied for you.
Oh, yeah, for the grant.
We're gonna apply to that.
We dropped it. We qualified, but they ran out of money.
Yeah, we're gonna apply to that. So anything else for agenda management?
when are you putting out the budget schedule?
Email them the schedule.
I can, yeah, it's pretty much in here. It's on the agenda management, but.
Well, she'll email out a schedule.
Okay.
But if you ever in doubt, she has all of the dates
The
listed
dates are
here
all here.
for discussions and.
When stuff has to be, when the budget discussions are, when the high water mark is.
We'll send you a pretty
Yeah,
agenda.
yeah, she always does that like that.
Yeah.
All right,
That is just the budget.
so let's move into supervisor comments. I'll start with, Doug. All right.
Yeah, Doug, you have anything?
I just wanted to quickly say that there was, I've heard positive feedbacks on the lights, the new lights so far, even though I know it's not complete, it's been positive. And also the lighting with the fountain. I think I got some really good comments on not only the fountain colors for Christmas, but also Valentine, them being red. People thought that was really nice touch.
Patty's Day coming up in March. It's a green.
Right on. And the lights around the palm trees were a nice addition. So looks good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Carol? Nothing. Ed?
Does anybody have any information on the maintenance of road pavers, not driveway pavers, road pavers? My board is of the opinion that all of that is pro them because they want to sell seal coating. They do not think seal coating is necessary. Every professional I've talked to thinks it does. It comes down to don't spending money. It came down the road. So I'm trying to find a professional that is not benefited by, in other words, they don't do the job, to give me a legitimate opinion on the need and necessity to seal coat
Look.
pavers.
FDOT, look and see if FDOT has anything, because they put some papers in some of the projects.
That's all I have.
we have a resident in Pelican. The asphalt roads, and I assume.
Well, we have a guy to do it, but they're all saying that they're tainted.
Okay,
They
well,
don't-
I'll get you his name and number. Oh.
I seem to remember when, we did a VLOC, in Pelican, that, there was some sort of study or whatever from the county, from Lee County, that basically said, it doesn't matter whether you seal coat or you don't seal coat as to the long-term maintenance.
My people would love to hear that.
That seal coating is just aesthetic.
I've heard
So-
I've
But
heard-
I've heard if you put a new road in like a Villa and you seal coat it, you get a good benefit out of it.
Well, we spent $100,000 on the pavers at the front entrance. They told us the recommendation was within 3 years, you need to, and we seal coat it. And then within 3 years, seal coat again. We're now at that 3 years and my board doesn't want to seal coat. And
So,
my
Ed,
thing
you're
is
looking
that
for
why are you going against professionals?
You're looking for an independent opinion, right? An unbiased
Yes.
opinion
Yes.
on that.
You're looking for an independent, unbiased opinion.
Yes.
The favorite company would be?
I haven't been able to find anybody yet, other than people who do the work and they're supposedly tainted. but I'll try the county and I'll be able,
Or DOT, yeah.
okay, that's all I have.
I have a question on the financial report, page 290, where the heading on is Gateway Services Community Development District Lake Bank Restoration Recap of Activity. And then after that, going back from 2017 forward, there was a whole bunch of invoices. I'm trying to find out what we have spent each year, what the source of the funding was each year, and which ponds we did each year. And I'm struggling to see how much money we've really spent. And do we really have a handle on it? Some of it.
Your best bet is to go back to the minutes and get Tetra Tech's reports.
Well, I got some Tetra Tech numbers, but here again, then that multicolored board they have, I'm told that those numbers were bids that were accepted, but we still don't know if we spent that for the year we spent.
Okay.
You're gonna do some digging to get that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would think that should.
What's your question on the report? Let's hear.
Well, I just want to know, does this carry everything or is this just only FRS? Or does it have O&M money?
We haven't done any O&M though.
No, that's not true.
This,
You talk about point repairs?
Whatever.
Point repairs we've done, maybe some O&M, but not.
If it's only point repair, I don't care about that. All I'm talking about is restoration.
I'm not aware.
Lake bank restoration.
this goes, everything charged to the Lake Bank Fund, correct?
I have no idea.
How about you,
This is way before my.
how about you email Laura and I your questions, and then we'll work with Stephen Bloom, since he's been here since the start.
Here, Stephen, or Gabby, somebody.
Yeah, send me your questions and let us try to work through them, okay?
Okay, but we ought to be able to see how much we've spent.
Yeah. Well, we know per pond, because we have each project, we have project closeouts and contracts with those, but.
Well, you would
send
think
me-
that in any given year, you could look at that and you'd know the number, but that's.
Well, we also switched accounting systems, and now we're in-house and we
It
have,
doesn't matter, it's all the same data.
well, send us your questions.
I will come see you.
Send me your questions first, so we can try to get you answers before you come
I
see
think
us.
that's Laura, that's my question, but okay, I'll send you the questions.
All right.
And then I do have to get with you for SharePoint,
Yeah.
educate me on that, that's all I got.
Yeah, I just have a few things. So, regarding the email that we all received, I don't know if you just came to Ed and myself about the crosswalk.
Oh, yes.
If you came, because I know we look back on the county of the last 5 years and we'll
I
in the
have-
next 5 years and they were not planning on putting a crosswalk.
You want me to touch on that real quick?
Yeah.
Because there's a whole thing. When I first got here, Laura and Randy went to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which is BPAC, an advisory committee of Lee County. And we requested from 7-Eleven to the elementary school to be put on the list. I think we got shot down.
We did.
There is an existing project on their list. It's like a 10-year list, and as funding becomes available, it slowly moves up from from Gartner down to the tavern, past. There's one or two residents on, what was that neighborhood, Pine? Timber Walk Bridge? No, it's
Timber Reserve.
Timber, yeah, the one little street, right? here.
Yes,
Oh, right here.
across from Pine.
Yeah, they have requested a crosswalk across Griffin. And there's a long response from Rob Price from the county that basically said that when the district approved this, because Griffin used to be the road that the district owned, that we did not enforce that developer to put sidewalks along the frontage of Griffin. That has contributed to there not being sidewalks on Griffin, and they can't put a crosswalk without it connecting to pedestrian pathways on both sides of the road. I talked to Rob Price about this last week, and I said, well, it can't be that costly. Get a price and maybe we can split
It
it.
was very small.
It's very, very small. There's already a path on the other side.
To the
Yeah.
front, yeah.
So there was some email back and forth with that resident and Rob Price, and I was CC'd on it, but ultimately it came down to the county wasn't gonna do anything. It's not funded, it's not supported on their list right now, etc. So I don't know. I know that they've had some counters out on Gateway. I think you texted me about some up here. But ultimately, if the county road right of way, if we wanna, pursue it ourselves, we could. But they're gonna require it to be to their standards and all of that fun stuff, so.
But I was what I was thinking is we could pick back on the engineer study that they're doing now, because the data is now. So they're gonna have the data that we're gonna need to be able to do that.
We could push back.
They're gathering right now for whatever reason, I don't know. There's one on Gateway Boulevard you mentioned, there's one on Griffin, so we can say, hey, we're looking into it, and what is it that we need to do? Can we halfway, or can we
Are they
just
looking
do
at the
it?
sidewalk on the east side of Griffin?
Well, I think just a portion in front of that community, right?
Well, they would have to do they could do a landing pad and then tie it. I've seen that happen, do a little L landing pad, but the problem is.
Just like how the roundabout is.
And have it go nowhere.
And then have it go
So
to a
like a
crosswalk.
roundabout is, the
Yes.
brand new thing we just did it, so it's not like.
So I even so far as talked to Rob about, hey, we'll put sidewalk across our frontage if you put it across yours and tie it into that community. And he said that they didn't have the funding right now, but ultimately the residents need to go to BPAC, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee at the county, and push and.
So that's what I want, because she was looking for direction.
Yeah, I think they need like the third one.
Okay, so she's looking for direction, so if you can send her that information and maybe copy the entire board, because I believe the email just came to Adam myself,
Okay.
but just copy the whole.
And
board.
I can send you the communication from the Rob Price and the county
Okay.
about.
That's fine.
Give Cecil a call too.
And
And-
Bill,
and that's
can we
it.
also send a memo to Cecil? Just to make sure he's in the loop on what we're trying to do and if he has any opportunity to socialize this from his
Yeah,
perspective.
we can send it, I'm sure he's aware, sure, Robert, right? Yeah, we can send it. Good point, Doug.
Okay, then the other items I had was, there's some landscaping issues that I think I just want to follow up with you and Nathan.
Okay.
There's two.
Nathan's not training this week, so send me.
Okay, it's the same list that I have sent, like, so
Okay.
just follow on that. And then regarding to the road, because I know I talked to Chelsea, I don't know if you guys noticed the amount of potholes and damage, not to the oak trees, just regular maintenance damage on Game Boulevard.
Bad.
So I had spoken with Chelsea last week, and then I think the day before she had made a couple phone calls, and that's something that I think we need to reach out to CISO. I think they fixed one this morning when
Mark put together a list and we emailed it to as an RFA. So we've already submitted it because we were many times, we've already been shot down, but they're pushing back, but saying a lot of these issues are root related. So, I mean, we're
if they are related,
We're
then
address-
address that and
well,
we'll
we
address
can't,
that.
we can't close any of the roads until after April. So
But
I saw they patched up by you finally.
yeah, so that's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Today they did some.
Yeah.
The last few days. So just, yeah. And then finally, I wanted to see if there was a specific map regarding the sidewalk repairs that we're doing, because what I did notice across on Gateway Greens. And I don't know if it's pure coincidence that they're doing some pouring on both sides. The sidewalk has dipped enough that is holding water in locations that was not.
Is that why they put the boring for the streetlights? Yeah.
I noticed on Silver Lakes, there's about 20 to 30 feet that was never there before, and it's totally underwater for 3 to 6 hours.
the panels are marked with big,
So then you're
Orange
telling me that I
accents.
have to walk there and look at it to see it?
yeah,
Okay,
that's the easiest thing to do. There's
Okay.
50 some panels, 52
Alright.
panels.
okay,
And just so you guys know, our contractor is doing that work, but FPL is reimbursing us for that.
Okay.
So
and is it Gateway Greens also included, or that was just?
we've only done down Griffin right now, because they're still working down Gateway Boulevard.
Are they raising panels or?
No,
The sidewalk is dipping in, so the irrigation is just puddling, like you can't even walk over,
We
you have
took-
3 or 4 inches of water.
we took pre-videos,
Oh, you did that?
considering.
Oh, I know, look at
Well,
that.
in light of Griffin, before they moved down Gateway Boulevard, staff went down and we took videos and pictures, and so did they. So any of those issues.
Yeah,
will
they got a
address.
mess to clean up down Gateway Boulevard.
Okay, and then finally, regarding that, there's a lot of areas on Gateway Boulevard that we're missing, the DOT requirement markings. Painting specifically, which that is a requirement, so, and that's in a lot of areas, I think I counted 18 areas on Gateway Boulevard alone. That the county is out of compliance.
You're more than welcome to submit RFAs at your own.
No, I'm just, yeah, I know that, but.
Or the
but I
more the
think-
merrier, but we'll
Yeah,
get
I
on.
think at this point, we wanna work with them and not bombard them, but. yeah.
Oh, no, with the response I received, we're bombarding them.
Okay, well, they include CEDO, then I think this is one you follow up with a CISO call.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are we getting complaints with powered bikes?
And then,
Yes.
and that, I was gonna say, that's my last one. I did see that we posted something on Facebook, on our Instagram page regarding that, but that's not quite what I personally was looking for. I wanted Lee County Sheriff's Office to put it in and they're not willing.
Randy reached out to the county, to their PIO, and they don't have anything, and what they do have, it's vague and it's not what we're looking for.
The technology is escaping the ordinance.
Yes.
Which I get that, but I believe Lee County Sheriff's Office, during the issue we had with the golf carts about a year and a half ago, and they put out a memo that was really out there that they were handing out to parents. So.
About golf carts, but not about e-bikes.
Yeah.
E-bikes are a different animal.
Correct, but they educated us, so what I want is the same thing, so it's not necessarily the county, but Lee County Sheriff's Office, because the residents are, they have to understand that unfortunately, Lee County Sheriff's Office cannot do anything about it, and neither can we do anything about it.
We put out what we could because the county just.
And I
recommended
get
the
that,
statute,
exactly.
But it's, nobody wants to touch it.
There's quite a few accidents that's been occurring on the sidewalks
Mhm.
with kids coming out of school, racing up those roads, going as fast as cars are going.
It is.
Yeah, they're going 27, 28 miles an hour.
And the county's not doing anything about it. They won't touch it.
That's how I have.
Motion adjourned.
Lots of stuff that needs signed. Lots.
2 or 1.
One, I don't.